All right, so you should have already watched the video for uh, opening up a new part and extruding a rectangular wing. Um, and you should only be watching this particular video if you are attempting to make a swept-back or a tapered wing instead. I'm going to go ahead and open up a new part, and we're going to follow basically the first set of instructions from the previous video, picking the right or the side view for our starting sketch. And I'm just going to draw a quick side view of a zero camber on the bottom and a positive camber on the top, and I'm not using any particular dimensions because I'm just trying to get the overall shape here so that you can see it. Now when I finish the sketch, notice we just have like the side view. Okay, now for a tapered or a swept-back wing, you're going to need we're going to actually loft our extrusion because we don't want it to just go straight out from the center shape. We want it to gradually taper to the shape that we want on the other end. So in order to do that, we're going to have to actually make another plane to sketch on that is offset from the center where we're currently at. So to do that, we're going to come up here to where it says plane, work plane, and we're going to pick offset from plane. Now to pick the plane that we're offsetting of, we have to open up the origin tool here and notice that each of the different planes has, a link, a drop down, I don't know what to call these. So we want to pick the XZ plane, and you'll know that's the right one because when you look at how it's highlighted, it's the plane that we just drew that cambered surface on. You can also look down in the lower left hand corner and you can see the a set of axes where they've labeled the different axes. So you can see that yes, for the side view, it's the X and the Z. So we're going to click on this little box in front of it. Notice that it highlights this thing in blue. And then it's asking for us, like, how far over do we want to offset this plane? So to figure that out, you've got to figure out what the distance is from the center of your wing to the very edge of your wing. So half of your wingspan. If your wingspan is 20, you're going to want to offset it 10. And it's quick math, but you need to make sure that you're offsetting it correctly or your wing is going to be too short or too long. So I'm just going to pick 5 cm as just my offset. I'm making it up. Doesn't really matter. Looks like nothing's happened. Like, what the heck? Where I see my work plane here, but I don't see it in my screen. So if I click on the paper with the magnifying glass, that's the zoom all tool, it'll zoom out and show me, hey, your work plane's over here. Okay, so now I'm going to start a new sketch, but I want to start a new sketch on that work plane. So there's 2 ways that I can do this. I can click on start a new sketch. It'll give me the little sketch tool, and then I just click the work plane and it would open up a new sketch for me like this. Or I can close that one. I can go highlight the work plane that I want and right click, and notice there's this little create sketch tool here. Either one of those is going to work. So I'm just going to delete one of these sketches so that I'm going to close this one. I'm going to delete this one just so it doesn't get confusing. All right, and to reopen a sketch that you already have made, you double click on the little box in front of it. So if I'm tapering my wing, so let me change the view here. I'm looking at the view plane, but it's because of the way that it's oriented where I'm looking at it straight through, it's showing me the cambering in the middle. So you can use that kind of as a guide to figure out, how you want your cambering to look for your offset plane. Now, if I were doing a tapered wing and I wanted it to taper right into the middle, I'm probably gonna just make, oops, I keep clicking in the wrong spot on my trackpad. It is very frustrating. So I would just make this, it's so hard to see. So there it is. I'm gonna make a smaller version. Oh, where'd my line go? Right, there's the end. Notice it turned green. That's how I know that I'm on the end. Once again, I clicked on the wrong spot. Yellow, yellow, where'd it go? There it is. Green. I'm just going to kind of follow the shape of my upper camber, and then I'm just going to do my little, where's the end? Can't find the end of my line. Oh, there it is. I didn't make it very long. All right, so this would be my second surface for cambering. So I'm just gonna go out here so you can see this is the big wide one, this is the little tiny one here. So then to make that three-dimensional, I'll go up here to 3D model. I will click the Loft tool and I'm clicking in section. I'm going to click this as section 1, this as section 2, and notice it's essentially just building my tapered wing, going from that wider camber to this more narrow camber. So if you want to see exactly what it looks like, we can look at it from a top view. Now, we can mirror this view to make the other half of the wing by clicking up here on the mirror tool, selecting the feature, which is basically the whole wing, and then clicking on mirror plane, clicking on just that cambered surface, then going okay, and then if I zoom out here, I'm looking at the whole wing. Now, that's tapered. What if you wanted to do Sweptback, or you want your tapered wing to have be straight across at the front of the wing? So I'm going to go open my Loft. Open my Loft, there it is. So I want to change sketch number 3. That's the one down here on the end. And I'm going to flip it around so it's easier to see here. So let's say I want the front of my wing to be lined up. And why am I not seeing? Oh, because I have to undo my Loft. Because I'm not actually seeing my other sketch there. So just delete these. So I no longer have that lofting. Oh, now it's telling me it's not going to do that. Or I'll just Control Z. Whoops, I got through. I'll put that back. Want to delete? Right click, delete. I don't want to delete the sketches. All right, there we go. Now I can go back to show you how to edit the sketch so that you can do a different style here. All right, so again, we were pretending that we want the front of the glider to be lined wing to be lined up, and then we want the tapering to go out to the edge of the wing. So I'm gonna highlight my wing here, and then I'm gonna use the move tool and select my base point to be anywhere, and then I'm gonna move this to the very front so that the front edges line up. I'm gonna click done. And now I'm gonna re-loft this. So go back to 3D model, click loft, click sections, pick my 2 sections. All right, and then when we see, notice that now the front edge of the wing is straight and it tapers, out to the side. So technically, I guess I drew this kind of upside down. I would have drawn it this way. And then you would mirror it the same way that we did before. All right, so let's talk about how this would look different if it were swept back. So I'm going to delete my loft again. And remember, when you're deleting the loft, if you want to keep your sketches, unclick that little box there. And I'm going to reopen sketch number 3 again, where I can see the other sketch behind it. Zoom in here. So now let's pretend like we are doing a swept back wing. So when we do a swept back wing, the rear part of the wing is often behind the front part of the wing. So it just kind of depends on how much you want to overlap. So I'm holding down the shift key and clicking on each one of my pieces. And again, I'm going to use the move tool, set my base point. I'm going to click out here this time. So I'm going to show you what it looks like if we kind of like all the way, just like put this behind there. So I'm going to click done. And finish my sketch again. Go back to my orthogonal view. Now watch what happens when we connect these by lofting. Click on this one. Gonna click on this one and go OK. And now when we look at the wing, and I should flip it over. There we go. Notice now it has more of a swept back look. And obviously the further behind the wing you drag this other sketch, the more swept back it's going to be. And then just one more time to remind you how to mirror. Click the mirror tool, pick the surface you want to mirror, pick the plane you're mirroring it on, and then go OK. And then there we have our swept back wings. So tapered and swept back, pretty much you use that same kind of strategy. It just matters like how big and where you end up putting that second surface. Now, one more thing I just want to bring to your attention. So sometimes when you're trying to loft, it won't recognize one or more of your surfaces. Need to click in the right spot. All right, so if you click on a line, right click, and go to close loop, click OK, and then you're going to click all the other lines that close the loop and make sure that your loop is closed, because oftentimes it has to be a closed loop for you to be able to extrude between 2 points. And so oftentimes if it's not doing that, it's because you don't actually have a closed loop. Those ends of the lines are not exactly the same. And if If your loop isn't closed, then it will tell you that these two things aren't touching. You can also sometimes see that when you zoom in really close as well. All right, so the next video you're going to want to watch is the one on how to make a 3-view drawing, and then we'll be making cut files. So before you close this out, you're going to want to make sure that you save your completed drawing. On our school computers, it's going to try and access an auto file. It will give you a red warning, just click OK. It will do another warning, click OK. And then in the quick access, you're going to want to scroll all the way down and make sure that you're putting it either on your Google Drive or your H Drive. So to sign into your Google Drive, there should be a little icon down in the lower right-hand corner that gives you access to that. For me, I just made myself a file called school stuff, and I'm going to call this Sweptback Wing. All right, so see you in the next video.